I used to play a game called Rainbow Six Siege, and in Rainbow Six Siege, you play as an operator. One of these operators was called Pulse, and he had this cool mechanic where he had this little heartbeat scanner, and he could see his enemies through the walls. And I decided to make a horror game based off of it. So I actually first thought of this idea a while ago, back when I first started Unreal Engine, but it was just going to be one part of another game, which I actually brought up in my first devlog I ever made. Since Crypt, though, I've been working on a bunch of different prototypes, and most of them seem to be too big of a scale for what I can accomplish. So I decided to revisit this idea as its standalone game, and that's what I've been working on. I don't know why I'm talking like y'all know the game, so here's the idea. You wake up in a big house with this camera that doubles as a night vision camera and a heartbeat scanner. Use that to locate the enemy, and you gotta search around the house for fuses while you avoid him and hide from him. If you get 4 fuses, you win the game. So as usual, I started off by making a new project and implementing the player movement. I ended up just stealing the hands from another project I made, and I threw together this camera model. So something you'll notice is that if you try to shove your arm through a wall, it won't actually do anything. But in a video game, your arm will just go right through. I encountered this problem and I did not know how to fix it, but eventually I figured out that if you bring your arm closer, it won't actually go through the wall anymore. Wow! However, now your arm is inside of the near clipping plane and you can't even see it sometimes. So I got rid of the near clipping plane, and now my game looks like this, okay? I don't know what happened, I don't know why, but it took me a long time to figure this out. That's part of the reason this video's taken so long, but I finally figured it out. Everything is working now. As you've just seen, I added some player animations, and then I decided it was time to get to work on the actual heartbeat scanner / night vision camera. The way I did it was by making a scene capture component that writes to a material and then projecting that onto the screen of your camera. When you want to swap modes, you switch between 2 post-process settings that I've set as variables in the player character. I also made this little display for the heartbeat sensor mode just to make it feel a little bit more interesting, and who knows, I might even hide a secret in there or something. I was starting to get bored of just working on the player character, so I decided to start work on the monster. And I was actually inspired by the game you're seeing right now, a game called It Steals by Zeekers, probably one of my favorite games of all time. And here is 1 or 2 of the enemies. I think they're pretty cool. And I like that simplistic, just a square with legs basically design. So I just kind of decided to steal a little bit from that. And my second inspiration was the monster from Bendy and the Ink Machine that what's his name? The Projectionist or something like that. I always thought he was a really cool monster, so I decided to kind of merge them ideas, and here's what I got. I gave him some bones, and I gave him a texture, and I got him into Unreal. Next, I made a control rig, which lets you make animation inside of Unreal. Then I made an animation blend space, which lets you smoothly transition between 2 animations based off of value. I also made an animation blueprint, which lets you switch between different animations based on the character state. So it's all been fun and games until this point, but now it was time for the real challenge, okay? I made some fun little animations, but now it was time to make the enemy's AI. I ended up using this really cool tutorial series from reilly. It did a really good job of explaining how AI worked in Unreal Engine because it's kind of weird. Basically, there are 2 main systems, the perception system and the behavior tree. The perception system tells the AI what its environments are like based off of inputs, and the behavior tree takes those inputs and basically tells the AI how to react. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying it, but it's a pretty good system. It's very concise and pretty easy to learn. After that, I did some more UI work. I added a border to the night vision camera, and I worked on the main menu a little bit, including a toggle for the pixelation effect in case you don't like it. I also copied the patrol path system from the reilly tutorials, but I don't feel like it would really fit that well in the main game, so I decided to scrap it. The next thing I did was make the fuse box and the fuses model in Blender. I got them into Unreal and I made this snappy little animation where you get close to the fuse box, and as you can see, when you hit E, it'll fill it up with any fuses you have in your inventory. I also made this gramophone model, and it's kind of crazy looking back at my older models and my older videos. Like, I've just improved so much. And like, this shit was actually trash. Like, I don't know why I ever had anyone supporting me. If you look back at these old videos, the comments are very nice, so thank you guys, but this is actually terrible. So side note, as I was looking for comments and I went to one of my 3D modeling videos, I noticed that YouTube automatically tagged it as Roblox, and I am more offended than I've ever been in my entire life. So you might be wondering why I made a gramophone model, and it's because I've been getting back into that music scene, okay? This is the first song I've made in a long time that I'm actually, like, I can say I'm proud of. So I put it into the game, and I gotta say, it sounds really good with all the effects. This is pretty much the last thing I've done, but I've been thinking a lot about where I want the game to go from here, and basically, I'm thinking I'll have a big house with a bunch of, like, disjointed rooms that don't really make sense together. So the main area will be, like, a hotel lobby with 2 floors, and then, you know, branch off into, like, maybe a disco area or something stupid like that. I'm really looking forward to it. If you guys are, subscribe, you know, follow my Twitter or my Patreon for behind the scenes stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in a couple months, I guess.